Hi, you guys, and thank you so much. Welcome to the Facebook Live for the American Medical Technologists. I hope that everybody is doing well. I hope that everybody is enjoying Medical Assistant Week, Medical Assistant Recognition Week, I should say. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm just a tad bit nervous. But I wanted to do this live today to kind of share some of my experiences and hopefully get some of the experiences that you guys have as it pertains to being medical assistants. All right, so I see that we're up to 7 viewers, which is always awesome. Yes. Okay, awesome. So we got some people in here. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk to you guys and kind of introduce myself. So I know a lot of you were on the Instagram Live earlier yesterday and some of the Instagram stories. My name is Kevin Sloss. I'm a registered medical assistant. I've been registered since last year. And before that, I did a medical assistant program at the college that I was working at. And let me tell you, I was so impressed with the tutelage that I got in training as a medical assistant, and even more so, I was impressed by all that medical assistants do. I honestly had no idea that medical assistants do so much in the medical field. When I first started, and let me go back. So I'm from Chicago, and I was working at our local city colleges, and I was working at Malcolm X College specifically. And what ended up happening was I decided to go back for my master's degree. I have a bachelor's in community health sciences, and one of the things that I was realizing was it was really hard to find a job, even with a bachelor's degree. You know, people always tell you like, oh, go to school, get a bachelor's degree, and everything will be great, right? So I did that. I had planned on becoming a doctor, but unfortunately, I just didn't have all of the resources or the resources that I needed to be super successful, right? And I think a lot of us can relate to that. So I was going through college. I finally finished after 4.5 years, and I came out at like 21, 22 of college. And during that time, I was searching for a job. I had been searching, I was looking for opportunities, and it was so hard and like super stressful to the point that I was just like, man, I'm just never gonna find a job. I'm not sure if anybody else can relate to that, but I'm pretty sure some might be able to. So with that, I ended up working in the education sector. I realized that my community health degree was really marketable, and because health education focuses in a lot on like disparities, which includes increasing education for folks, that's where I found myself in. And luckily, I ended up at Malcolm X College, where it was an allied health science college, and mind you, going into it, I didn't really understand what allied health was. Even though I had this great experience at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign with my bachelor's of community health sciences, and I still had no clue like what allied health was. And so mind blown when I got to Malcolm X College. So I ended up working on this diversity pipeline to increase the amount of African American males who go into healthcare careers. And it was like a dream job because I was like, this is me. But I also didn't realize that there was such a need outside of just doctors and nurses, but more people of color, of different genders, races, in allied health fields. So after working here for 2 years, I was like, I want to increase my knowledge base. So I went back and got a master's of health admin. But even then, I was like, something is missing because I still wasn't getting hired for the jobs that I wanted. And then eventually, I was like, I'm going to do a CNA program. It's an 8-week program. It seems really easy. I struck out in my undergrad with like med school and things like that, and it'd be like really easy to do, right? And so then a program director at Malcolm X of the medical assisting program was like, yeah, no, CNAs are amazing, but why don't you also think about doing a medical assisting program? And I was like, what's a medical assistant? And she was like, have you ever been to the doctor? And I was like, yeah, I go, every year or so. And she was like, who's the person that probably has done an EKG for you? And I was like, the nurse. Who's the person that's giving you a flu shot, a TB test, checked your vitals, roomed you, all of these amazing things? And I was like, the nurse. She's like, most times, it's probably a medical assistant. And I was like, what? I've never even heard of a medical assistant. And I actually had a doctor's appointment the upcoming week, and I finally asked my medical assistant, what her title was. And she was like, I'm an RMA. And I was like, oh, wow, I work at Malcolm X. We have that there. And so I decided to not do the CMA program. And that's not to say that CMAs aren't amazing. I just chose to do the RMA program because it offered me a little bit more of what I was looking for. I was really fascinated by the ability to do injections. I love that I was able to do EKGs. On top of that, I loved... there was a pharmacology course. There was a course on medications, which falls into pharmacology. I got to learn more about vitals, and it was just super extensive. So I did it for 3 semesters, while I was doing my Master's of Health Admin. And like a crazy person, I had a lot of long nights, sleepless nights, but it was still really, really powerful. And the way that my medical assistant program was run, and I think a lot of them are because they're accredited by AMT, or you can go and get your RMA through AMT, that they are like everything I was learning there, I was kind of learning in my master's program too, especially with like billing and coding. I was learning about ICD 10 codes, CPT codes, all of those things. And I was also learning them with my master's degree. So it was like a perfect complement where I could do both sets of homework at the same time and kind of reuse some of the same stuff. But it was really helpful though, because the hands-on aspect of a medical assistant allowed me to apply a lot of theory-based opportunities into the MA program. And then I started to be able to see like other things, and I started to understand why I wasn't getting these job opportunities. And it was because a lot of these opportunities look for somebody with a clinical background, and an MA is like the perfect introduction to that. And luckily, I really, really enjoyed the program. I excelled through it. We won't talk about my pharmacology grade because, it's still pharmacology. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But it was really, really good. And I love the opportunity that I was like, okay, this is it. And I actually started to apply in my last full semester for jobs outside of the college, and like I was getting jobs that I had never been able to get. And I see a lot of people joining us. Good afternoon, you guys, and thank you so much for joining. I see Melissa White, Marco Espina, Jeff Lefton, Ryan Reddy, Crystal Hampton, Matthew Teal. Yes, Penny Darm just joined us. Hey, you guys. Good to connect with the community of RMAs. And I also see Shanika McCune. Hey. And if I'm butchering anybody's name, I apologize. But good afternoon. So, like I said, I was already applying for jobs even before I got to externship. And I just wanted to test the market. And it was crazy, the response that I was getting. I was getting job offers that I had never gotten before, right? And I ended up not taking them. I just wanted to test the waters. But by the time that I got to externship, and I see a hand, hi Renita, Hey, Matthew. Oh, we got some people international. We got Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. Hey, y'all. Um, and it just kind of blew my mind. And I was like, wow, I am missing. This has been the piece that has been missing for so long in my professional career, as well as my academic career, to be frankly honest. And so I was talking to my program director, and I think that is something that I want to highlight here. I know that school can be very, very hard, but I want you guys to also make sure that you realize that school is a professional opportunity. Although you think you may never see these people again, take it seriously and treat it like a job. Always present yourself well. If you need resources for success, make sure that you're tapping into those resources. You can even join AMT before you even take the RMA exam. And that's one of the best resources that I got because in my first semester, actually, I want to say like my second week of my MA program, AMT actually sent out a representative to come and talk to us about joining, and getting online and making a profile, understanding what the next steps were. And it just kind of opened me up to more professional opportunities. And I think my interaction with it was different because I came into that as a 27-year-old who had a professional career beforehand, and I was using the MA program to jump. So, for those of us who are later careerists and doing that, I think we probably will present ourselves in that way. But that's not to say that some younger folks won't do the same as well too. But but for anybody who goes into it, make sure you take your MA program, especially while you're at school for the 16 to 32 to however long you're there for your program. Make sure you present yourself in a professional way. I think one of the best opportunities I had was I got to really engage my program director from a new standpoint. Although we were colleagues in a sense before because I worked at the college, it was great to have her as a professional mentor now who had all of these experiences as a medical assistant that I could tap into. And she saw me in a different light. She got reports from my teachers, which was great. I could reach out to her if there were issues that I was having, like, hey, I am not getting phlebotomy. What do you think I should do? And she'd be like, well, go talk to your teacher. And I'd be like, duh. Yeah, let me go talk to Dr. Peter and ask him, like, what are some techniques or trainings that I can take to further my skills in phlebotomy. But just having those professional relationships and making sure that you present yourself in that way can be so powerful. So I got through my MA program, right? And I finally got to my externship. An externship, as many of you know, can be like, well, your heart is kind of like right here. And it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? So, I love my program because I really got a chance to speak with them and talk to them about what I was interested in. So I really love primary care. And I explicitly said that pediatrics probably wouldn't be the best for me. Just because, man, have you guys ever given a shot to a baby? Can I get some likes if you've ever given a shot to a baby? I'll wait for some likes. I'm also going to sip out of my awesome AMT mug. It's a tumbler, not a mug. But if you've ever given a shot to a baby, there we go. I see a lot of likes coming up. It's interesting, right? Because you're not just treating the family, you're treating the parents. But it's also, MAs, and especially RMAs, because we're trained so well in these programs, that's the only way you can apply through AMT, are taught amazingly well. And I'll say that. But I knew that pediatrics wasn't for me. And I think the MA program was really helpful. in that sense as well too. So I'm again still talking about. Yep, I see a lot of comments. Yes, but didn't like it. Hello from Pueblo, Colorado, and I got a lot of trues. I got some hands. Yes, peds is not my specialty. Anybody else that can do it, and I worked along some amazing RMAs in my externship who were just like, nope, we got this. You know, intramuscular, sub-Qs, everything, and I was just like, and now it's my turn, and you want me to do what? And I have to inform the parents and keep them calm while doing this. So RMAs are taught amazingly. But anyway, back to externship. As I thought about like my career path and different things of that area, I really took some time to reflect. And I think the MA program was so unique because my program specifically, they asked us like, well, what do you see yourself doing? How do you plan to use your MA knowledge? And when you apply for RMA, where do you see yourself down the line? And I made sure I tapped into my career services also at the college, but also looking at AMT's communities as well too. If you guys haven't, I definitely say, and especially if you're paying for your membership, tap into that because there are so many great things in there, like great nuggets, great blog posts, great community posts, everything. And I'm saying I apologize, you guys. Still a little nervous, but during that time of like reflecting just on my externship experience, I really got a chance to realize like a lot of the jobs that I was applying for out of undergrad, I wasn't really thinking about like long-term aspects and like what the next step was. And maybe it was because I was a little older at the time where I was thinking through it, but when I really got a chance to like reflect on my externship, like where I wanted to be in my externship, it gave me the opportunity to realize like, you know, what am I prepared to do? And I think sometimes, oh, thank you so much for that, Kim. You know, it really prepared me to think about like, what do I see myself doing long term? You know, I think a lot of us, we get into that habit of just like applying for a job because we need a job. And don't get me wrong, I've been there, I know what that's like, but if you have an opportunity to really sit and plan out, you know, what your next steps are, what this looks like long term, you know, what your next 6 months will be like in that new position, what you plan to do in a year, what you plan to do in 18 months, I say do that. And do that if you're still in school and you're even just approaching your externship. I see a lot of people in the healthcare field get burned out because sometimes we just take jobs. It's just plain and simple. Let's be very transparent. And sometimes we get burned out because it's like, this is not the opportunity for me, right? But, you know, maybe if we take some time planning and looking at different opportunities that are available, it works out. So that's where I was with my externship. And I kind of was like, all right, I did some web searches. I had learned a lot through my bachelor's and my master's. But again, my MA program opened the door to new things that I just didn't even know. Like, I was like, oh, I could apply for this and I can apply for this. So on a whim, I was just like, I'm going to write my big idea for externships. So all of you students who are looking for externships right now, I know COVID makes things very difficult for some face-to-face interactions, but after I tell you my story, I'm going to give you some tips there. So I wrote out my externship and I was like, you know, I want to work at a care center that's innovative, that has all of these aspects where we can do follow-up care, where the MAs are the super like leaders, and all of this stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever happens, I'm just gonna go with the flow. And so my program director was like, hey, I know it's been a little minute, we've been trying to place you, nothing is wrong with you. And I had gone to interviews, I did a dermatology interview, and the dermatologist was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is an amazing guy, I want him. He even offered me a job after I finished my MA program. That's how cool it was. But even then I was like, I love the aspect of it, but my real passion is like primary care, chronic disease management, working with elderly populations and getting them resources, like all of those things. And so then my program director was like, I got the opportunity for you, and it's close by your house. Now, anybody who knows, like, if you're doing externship and you find an externship close by your house, amazing, right? So I was like, all right. And then unknowingly, I had actually gone here as a kid before. So it was a federally qualified healthcare center called Heartland Healthcare Centers. And they have locations all throughout the north side of Chicago. And so I was like, yes, this is awesome. This is like close to my house. I know where it's at. I'm familiar. So I got a chance to come over and I loved it. And I actually got placed between two different sites. One was their primary care site, which was super amazing, but it was so big. There was never a dull moment ever. And we got everybody you could think of because it's federally qualified. It's a federally qualified healthcare center, and I'm pretty sure anybody that works in an FQHC knows how important those are to many communities because they serve populations that might be under-resourced or underinsured. So the MAs and the RMAs who are there, you guys are spectacular because I know that you see everybody and anybody that comes through those doors. So I actually got placed between two sites. The primary care that had a big focus on women's health and pediatric health, which I loved because it was like I got to help everybody. I also got to shadow like their OBGYN coordinator who was also an MA, and that's a nugget right there. There are a lot of coordinator roles out there that MAs can fill, and once you get into that coordinator level, yeah, you guys can be making some good bucks. But even then, I also got to go to their Innovation of Care Center, and their Innovation of Care Center was amazing because I got to work with their CTCs. So these are MAs, some who were classically trained as MAs, some who were RMAs, et cetera, and they did everything that I was asking for. They had these long-term relationships with their patients. They were the leaders and the advocates as a part of their team. When they were doing their morning huddles with the doctors and the other providers, the APNs and the PAs, they were actively helping to make decisions about the patient. And I love that model because it opened the door to like, oh wow, as an MA, as an RMA, there are so many things that you can do where you don't necessarily have to feel like you're complacent. I know sometimes MAs get a bad rep, and I have no clue why. Like, MAs, and especially RMAs, run the show. But even more so, like, I started to branch off into that mindset and started realizing, like, when you're looking for those opportunities, and if you're like 2 years, 3 years into your career, and you've done everything in like one setting, don't be afraid to leverage your RMA experiences and that title and that credential to put yourself in a new bracket where now you can be a coordinator, you can be a lead, you can be a practice manager. There are so many opportunities out there for RMAs who utilize their credential to the highest point of it. So I love this platform because we get to talk and share some of those ideas. Do we have any like people that have done non-traditional MA roles with their RMA? Can I get some likes if you have, or if you're doing something non-traditional? I've met a lot of people who've been entrepreneurs as well too in that process of like, leveraging their RMA to create businesses, create mobile phlebotomy services, gone into teaching, and they've got the AHI credential from AMT, so they're allied health instructors. Like, can I get some likes, some loves, or some comments if anybody's done that or is currently leveraging their RMA in different ways? All right, I'll just wait for it. I'm also going to take a sip because I have been talking a lot. Oh, that's a really good one. Elizabeth Brandon wrote, yes, she is working in school nurse clinic. Mind you, Heartland Health Centers also opened my eyes to like where a credentialed MA or an RMA can go. And I didn't realize this, that a lot of health systems, because there are like shortages of other practitioners, they lean heavy on RMAs because we are taught so many things that we can go into a school system. And I met a lot of school-based medical assistants there, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. And just having that RMA credential opens that door because they know that you're qualified. They know that you have done your certification exam. On top of that, you've had the required training to do injections. You can do EKGs, phlebotomy, medication, like everything. So I love that aspect. I also see somebody said they work for senior care. Let me see who said that. Okay, Renita said senior home care. I've seen a lot of people use their RMA to open businesses in that area. Amy Nikita wrote, I went from an RMA to a pediatric practice manager. Wow. But even more so, take those those billing courses seriously. I know they can be somewhat tedious, and shout out to my professor Vivian. Even though they're hard, they are amazing because it teaches you a lot of different things on the business aspect of healthcare. In order to make a lot of these programs and healthcare facilities run appropriately, you need to have a business savvy mindset. And trained as an RMA in the academic setting, we do billing and coding like crazy, and a lot of healthcare is based on billing and coding. We look at those codes, we look at those transactions, all of those things. How do we keep this business going so we can serve the population? I applied my RMA experience and training to become a medical assisting instructor. Yes. All right, Marie Jelinek. Yes, I see you. So there are a lot of opportunities. I always see people say, it's hard to get a job out here. And every market is different. So you also have to look at your state's laws and regulations and things of that nature. But don't be afraid to branch out and look at other opportunities. Now, that's not to say like, oh my God, he's dissing regular MAs. Like, no, I wouldn't even call you guys regular MAs. MAs, period, especially RMAs, are like dope. The amount of stuff that a medical assistant has to do in a day would shock the heck out of a lot of people because you don't get enough recognition. I definitely say as like early careerists, do like an MA job for 2 to 3 years. You gain so much experience. You learn a lot. I see a lot of people now transitioning over to like doing float positions, so they get a variety of clinic settings. And on top of that, I'm seeing a lot of like new roles because people are really starting to understand the impact of what an MA can do. And they're also seeing the population change. We're getting a lot of seniors who are coming into, healthcare centers and needing some complex care. So we need a workforce that can match that. And RMAs are really meeting that demand. Oh, that's a good question, Jasmine. Can we get CEUs for watching? I don't know, but I'm going to direct you over to AMT for that one. But yeah, I think that, the RMA certification is super huge. It's a powerful opportunity. that really empowers you to make a lot of great decisions as a career professional. So I've talked a lot, I've rambled a lot, and I want to get back into like the meat of a lot of questions on CEUs. All right, and I will get into that too because I think that's ultimately a lot about that. Also, is a part of like being an RMA and like planning. So I like to plan, especially I like to plan on my career. I'm actually in I'm actually in a transition right now of where I want to go with my career, and I'm thinking about new opportunities and different things that I want to go into. And so I bought this board recently. It's not fully filled because I just bought it, but it's one of the great things that I use to plan over this past week, I'll say. And I wanted to start fresh because I'm starting fresh in a new way. And I think that planning has to be a part of every RMA's toolkit. You plan to go to school, you plan to go for your RMA certificate, you planned on where you're going for your externship, you planned what that looks like. Now let's plan a little further. What's the next year? What's the next 5 years? What's the next 10 years gonna look like for you? I love to plan, but sometimes plans don't go the way we thought they were gonna go, right? And in my RMA journey over this last year, I got hired at an amazing institution, and I love the work. I love the people, but I'm also kind of in a place where I'm like, I think I want something different. And I've started to really dive into that quest. And part of that has been like jumping into my AMT community, looking at what CEUs are available on the AMT website. Currently, I'm taking the one of the REACH certificates, the immunization one, and I started that because I was thinking about how powerful COVID has been. And then I was thinking about all these new roles that are popping up because of COVID. There are contact tracers that they're asking medical assistants to take on because we have the knowledge, we have the know-how. On top of that, there's like vaccination coordinators. They really want to get people up on their vaccines because, if we can knock out one set of issues, then we can focus in on COVID and really approach that in a new way. There are managers of contact tracing, managers of new healthcare sites that are for COVID and everything, right? So, somebody said thank you for the talk. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for joining in. Okay, I'm gonna go into that. All right. But yeah, reaching out into your AMT communities, reaching out on here and websites like, your Facebook, your Instagrams, those are actually really powerful areas. And I'm in a lot of different groups like the Medical Assistant Network. There's like so many others. Sorry guys, they're not all coming to mind right now, but they are out there and I'll shout them out and I'll try and link those in other areas. But that's a great way to really leverage your RMA because it's like, I did all of this, but what else can I add to it without putting myself in a lot of debt? Because sometimes you may not want to go back to school for a traditional degree, but you're like, I do want to learn a new skill. And I see somebody here actually wrote, Marie, she said she completed the EKG REACH certification through AMT. I'm currently doing the immunization one, like I said, and I think that's an area that really has sparked my interest because that may be the next area that I go for, like a vaccine coordinator or working for my local public health department and utilizing those resources. Okay, and I see another question here. Yeah, all right. So Jasmine wrote, I've been off for a year and a half. What's your suggestion for getting back into it? I want to work with pregnant, and so she wants to work in like OB-GYN and delivery. So with that, use the internet. And I know it's, sometimes easier said than done, but sometimes, you have to pound that pavement. Like, you have to take your time and just research opportunities. And don't be afraid to go for new opportunities that don't sound like, it's like it doesn't explicitly say medical assistant, but in the area where it's like, what are your experiences? What resources do you need? XYZ. It may actually say medical assistant, registered medical assistant. Like, those are areas where they're looking for you to take, where you can apply. And sometimes I think that's what scares us. Like, we don't see it say just like medical assistant, and there could be this whole other role over there where it could be like, hey, we have a community healthcare worker that we're looking for to work in our labor and delivery practice, and we need this person to do the coordination of care for the patient, make sure that they're getting their XYZ, their annual urine test, making sure that they're coming to every visit and things of that nature. So don't be afraid to look for those opportunities that don't necessarily say medical assistant, but because you have this RMA certificate, it can definitely launch you into another job title. Yeah. Oh, this is a really good one. Jasmine, thank you for that question. Can you travel with your RMA? Yes. Yes, you can. And I think that one of the greatest things that I realized during COVID was, like, one, COVID has been scary, right? People have been like, oh my God, I'm losing my job. And that's been a real thing, and, opportunities have started to shut down. Well, they were then, and now they're opening back up now. But I was in an AMT, I want to say community or blog area, and somebody was like, MAs can travel. And they were also talking about the different aspects of like what an MA can do in another state. And then I was like, oh, okay. And from that sparked my mind. And I was like, I wonder if there's like a travel opportunity available for MAs. So again, I tapped into my Facebook network, and somebody was like, oh yeah, here's an app. And I was like, there's an app for this? There's an app for everything, right? But because I was like in that AMT group, it really helped open my eyes to like other opportunities and other thought processes. And I realized that MAs can travel. I've seen a lot of RMAs specifically because they look for credentialed medical assistants. Again, once you have that credential, and I have mine. Bam. Just so you guys know it's real. So I have mine, but they look for those credentialed professionals because they know that you guys are going to bring quality-based work. And during COVID, they asked for a lot of different travel MAs. I've seen some crazy pay rates that I think that the MAs definitely deserve because it's good money, but you also know that you're getting a quality employee for like 8 to 10 weeks who can do all of these tasks and be amazing at it, right? So they're getting paid very well. I know a couple of my friends have been traveling and they're doing exceptionally well, along with like room and board and food. So expenses are taken care of in some of those instances. But yes, your RMA allows you to do a lot of great things. And that's why I was saying planning definitely has to be a part of your toolkit, your arsenal, because it launches you to another area where you're not just taking opportunities because you have to. And even if you have to, in those moments, plan that out. Make that a strategic move where you're like, I'm going to take this job. I'm going to rock it for the next year and a half. I'm going to get, great support from leadership and work with them, ask them how I can improve so you can like booster yourself to new heights, right? And so that just opens more doors for you every time you take the time to plan and really make your experiences work for you. For myself, I've been able to do a lot of ad hoc projects just in the 1 year that I've been an RMA. So I've worked with local healthcare systems as a health educator. I've developed certain health education projects. I taught my own allied health, small like coursework for students interested in allied health careers. I've been a mentor. I recently got elected to CAHEP, the Commission on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs. So I am the medical assistant representative for CAHEP. So it's just been a great set of opportunities that my RMA has allowed me to go into. And even more so, I'm still learning. I'm still very much so a novice, and all of you veterans out there who are like dropping nuggets and tips, I am constantly like, oh, let me get my notepad and write this down. So there's so many things that you can do with it. I just want people to start realizing that you don't necessarily have to be pigeonholed in a sense. Take your time, reach out to people, do interviews with folks that are on your own time. Like, get on LinkedIn. Make sure that once you're credentialed and you've passed your RMA exam, write that RMA AMT behind your name, and you'll be surprised at how many people reach out to you because they're like, oh, they've got a credential. Let me see what they're into, if they're looking for a job, XYZ. And then take the time to like do some searches of other people in roles that you're interested in and look at how they've used their RMA to do other things. I've definitely reached out to like practice managers, program managers who started as RMAs and kept up with their credentials and seen how they've leveraged it, and asked them like their experiences. How do you like your patient population? For me, like, again, I said that I don't think I have the heart for peds because peds is such a powerful specialty and it's very, very hard work. So I typically avoid those jobs, but I reach out to people in other areas like, hey, do you work with this population? What's it like? What are your insights on it? Do you think this would be something that I could professionally handle? And it just kind of opens that door because now we've met each other. We both have similar experiences. We've both got our RMA. And, you kind of just open that door there. And then, again, AMT itself, you guys, is a powerful tool. I can't stress that enough. Like, I probably go on AMT at least twice a day, and that's not to say like I'm just like their spokesperson. No, I actually go on there because one, the CEUs are crazy. Like, there's so many different things that you can learn, so many different opportunities that you can that you can really tap into, so many different people that you can meet, and they even have like a job board. So if you were moving or going somewhere else, a lot of those opportunities are right there, and you can search by state and do all of these other things. So just across the board, like tap into your AMT portal, especially if you are paying for it. And I know a lot of the first year, if you pass your exam, it's kind of rolled in, so it's free. So use that like crazy. You can go through the blog posts and everything. So yes, your RMA is powerful. And I don't want to get away from my last topic because I think that this is really important. And so I wanted to talk about taking care of yourself. A lot of us as healthcare professionals know that burnout is real, right? I think a lot of us at one point or another, whether it be in the academic setting, the professional setting, and our personal lives, have probably experienced some form of burnout, no matter what point of your life you're in. But especially RMAs. Like I said, RMAs do so much in the workplace. Let's walk through what a typical day for an RMA might look like. You may have to do phlebotomy for 100 people. in a day. Or maybe let's scale that back. Maybe like 50 people, right? Some people are like, that's nothing. All right. And then you have to do your procedures for like wiping down, rooming, charting. What else are you doing? You are sanitizing instruments, making sure that the autoclave is set, making sure that you're checking vaccines, reporting to your leads, your managers, taking patient calls, doing insurance verifications, making sure things are filed away correctly, again, wiping down everything, vitals. I mean, the list goes on of things that an RMA does in a day. And that's so crazy because a lot of people, they'll go to work, they might get on a computer and do their stuff, but mind you, you've just done 1,001 things and it's only 12 o'clock. And then you have another 5 to 6 hours to go on your shift, right? So with that, how do you take care of yourself after that? 1, you might be physically exhausted. 2, you might be mentally exhausted. And let's think about this. If you've done those 1,001 things in one day, and then you've done that for a week, and then you've done that for a month, and then you've done that for 3 months, and then you did that for 6 months, and then you did that for 9 months, and then you did that for 12 months, and then you did that for 3 years, like, what are you doing to take care of yourself? And sometimes as healthcare professionals, we don't even think that we deserve the right to take care of ourselves. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's very appropriate to take care of yourself. 1, you've gone through your academic journey, which can be very stressful. And I say, even during your academic journey, reach out to the counselors there. I know a lot of people feel that therapy isn't it sometimes, so to speak, but therapy can be very powerful in helping you relax, figure out where your areas of improvement are. I don't want to say weaknesses because I think that's a negative word, but where you can improve upon, like those can help you really get better with coping and managing your stress. And then, in your professional setting too, what I discovered was, and I had never, it wasn't really until I was in a full healthcare role where I started to take really better care of myself. And mind you, I've been a professional, since I've been 13, writing resumes for my uncles, but in my real professional settings, I had never taken advantage of my EAP resources. So those are your employee assistance programs, and a lot of them have a lot of mental health and physical health opportunities outside of just your health insurance provides, and they're free to you as an employee. For me, I have been experiencing some stress. Anybody working in healthcare, I work for a cancer service line too. So, sometimes you have really hard conversations, and it gets really intense. And sometimes you need to speak to somebody and really talk it out. And it can be really helpful in those ways. So as RMAs who do everything, just about everything, because we work in collaborative teams, but sometimes you're by yourself sometimes, and you may feel overwhelmed and you're doing a lot of things, and then 2 years down the line you're just like and you have to take that breather. So I definitely recommend anybody, especially with where the world is right now, if your employer offers EAP resources, take them, utilize them, talk to somebody. Use the free services that they provide. They don't negatively impact you. Like I said, I'm a big advocate for it. I love displaying my RMA and my academic credentials. These are all great for me. Can't leave my bachelor's out. But at the same time, I realized I've been doing a lot my whole life, and sometimes you have to take a break. Sometimes you have to talk to somebody and just get those things out. So as you make your plans too, add some self-care to this. You can write it in the things to do in the notes section on a day, XYZ. There's so many things that you can plan out and add to your life. So I know my chat was probably all over the place, and thank you, AMT, for allowing me to go off script from the script that I wrote. But yeah, happy Medical Assistant Recognition Week. All of you amazing MAs, especially my RMAs out there, you guys are superstars. I know some of you have not stopped working since the pandemic. Some of you have not gotten a chance to work from home, and you've been on the front lines at every point of this crazy 2020, and you have been making sure that everybody is doing well, so thank you. But if you need the opportunity to get back to you and really focus in on your self-care, do that. Like, you deserve that. If it's okay, you can take care of people and take care of yourself too. That is A-okay. So I want to say thank you to you guys. I'm going to answer like 5 more questions because I see a lot of like great comments popping up. And again, if I've said anything that doesn't work with certain people's ideologies or schools of thoughts or pedagogies, again, I'm learning, and this was just an open chat. So I'm going to check the comments and then respond to some of these things. Yeah. Oh, I see a lot of peds people here. Wow, I don't know how you guys do it, but yes, I see somebody who says it's very hard working with sick babies. Yeah, I don't know how the peds people do it. I watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, and like, oh my gosh, I thought like, whoa, and that's like what helped me realize I can't do it, because they're like superstars, and it's really a specialty. Like, you do so many great things in peds, but you have to be like, you always have to be on it in healthcare, but you always have to be like 100,000% good in peds. Yes, come on, Jasmine. She says she wants to jump into her RMA community more. You should. I mean, that's how you build a network of support. There have been so many times where I've asked questions and been able to get answers from RMAs. Like, I had an issue with Epic at one point, and I couldn't find the answer. And I reached out to some RMAs, and they were like, this is how you do it. This is how you send the letters and all that. And I was like, oh, where did you find this? And they linked me to the resources directly from Epic's websites. And I was like, so reach out. Oh, thanks, Kim. Oh, somebody said they look forward to meeting me in Norfolk. Yes. Oh, the AMT. Yes, Virginia. I love the DMV area, so I'm excited. Oh, okay, cool. So Elizabeth took a position as a clinic assistant in her school district. Very cool. I think that is, there's so many new positions for MAs in the workforce. Like I said, the populations are changing, as well as the demand and the areas of work. So there are new roles that are popping up. So I tell all of my RMAs, don't shy away from anything that you see where you may be like, I don't think I have the skills for that, or that job title doesn't necessarily match what I've been told to search for. No, like, they're probably looking for you. So tap that link and then look at the qualifications, and you'll be very surprised. They explicitly say looking for a registered medical assistant. So that's awesome. I think I saw one more. Another Jasmine also said, pretty much RMAs do everything. Yes, they do. Okay, yep, I'll definitely share some more of the info. And like I said, guys, make sure you reach out to AMT. That's how I started I didn't start all of this, but I was so interested in the work that they did, and I just tapped into the network, and Kimberly, Lisa, Peggy, everybody has been amazing to like reach out to, and they've just been so supportive. Even when I was looking for a job after I did my externship, even though like I had job offers, I was still looking because I thought I was moving, and I just could reach out to them, and they were like, have you tried this, have you tried this, have you met this person? And it was just great. So, and they led me to other areas where I was like, oh, I didn't even know this existed. So tap into your AMT network. This is how we started all of this as far as like some of the takeover stuff. So don't be afraid to do that. Leverage your certificate to its highest possibilities. Continue to learn. Use those certifications. Like I said, I've been doing the diabetes, the hypertension, the immunization one, and they've really helped on interviews because I can bring those physical certificates that you get at the end of them, at the end of the courses, and I've been able to present them to, the hiring manager, and they're like, oh, you have experience in this. And I'm like, yeah. And it really makes a difference. So I don't want to take up too much more time. It's 12:56 here in Chicago. Although I'm at home, I'm still working, and my lunch break is over. But I want to say thank you to everybody who joined in, and everybody that's watching or will watch. This has been great, and thank you so much for Medical Assistant Recognition Week Instagram takeover or Facebook Live takeover. And don't forget tomorrow's dance party. So submit your videos. I'll be dancing like crazy. And it's been great, you guys. Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting throughout the year and then seeing everybody again next year. All right, guys, have a good one. I hope everybody's safe. Bye, guys.